Okay, this morning we're going to be listening to a piece by Mexican composer Javier Torres Maldonado, and the piece is called Hemisferios Artificiales for Pierrot plus percussion. It's from 2001, and the flautist doubles on piccolo. The percussion list, the complete percussion list is 4 tom-toms, 1 suspended cymbal, 1 tam-tam, 3 crotales, and they're in E flat, E, and G, and then 4 tempo blocks, bongos, vibraphone, tubular bells. There's some sort of note about how the tubular bells could be substituted by certain notes on the vibraphone. I'm assuming the clarinet and percussion is group B, and then the rest of the ensemble is group A. And that's reflected in the layout of the score here. I've talked about Javier's music a number of times already. We covered 3 pieces of his in the string quartet series, so there's not much left for me to introduce, really. Let me pull up the recording to show you what I'm listening to, and then we'll get into it. We're going to be listening to the recording that's on his SoundCloud, which is from a year later, and was performed at the Theatre des Laisières in Strasbourg. And here he has a bunch of composers listed in the tags, so this will give you an indication of Javier's influences for this piece. Georges Ligeti, Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, Gerard Grisey, Georgi Kurtog, Luciano Berio, Franco Donatoni, Salvatore Sciarrino, and himself, and Beat Führer. So, all modernist composers, I would say, but with a diversity of styles. Javier studied with Donatoni, and he does use some spectral techniques, so the Ligeti and the Grisey aren't surprising either. But I never made the connection to like Sciarrino or Kurtog, but I do think his music has some similarities, like his interest in sort of miniature forms and gestures. So, with that being said, I think we can get into the score, and I apologize that I'm not able to show it. You're going to just have to listen to the recording and imagine how it looks on the page with the two groups interacting here. Alright, so really cool piece. It's nice to have another short one after having long ones for so many days in a row. And really unique use of percussion. I felt like a lot of the loud, unpitched percussion stuff was really cool and reminded me of like a lot of older modernist pieces, like Xenakis stuff. The division of the ensemble into 2 groups was really interesting, and I really liked the opening how it just used the first group for a long time, and then you could imagine this huge percussion setup on stage with a clarinetist standing beside them, and they're just waiting to play, and then when they finally come in at the climax, it's a really fun moment, super theatrical, and yeah, I felt like the musical language was very much his, but It was a little bit more playful and fun than some of his string quartets that we looked at. He was playing with tempo very aggressively and extreme dynamics and things like that. And even though I was quite tired today when I started, it was a pretty fun listen. And I think there's a lot you could learn from this piece. It's just like really spontaneous and fun the whole way through. Like for example, there was one moment where there was the cello was exposed, and then there was like a bunch of unison stuff going on for maybe 4 or 5 measures, with most of the ensemble like coloring this unison. And then we got like, I think it was a unison on like an open A or an open string of the cello, and then we get the other strings of the cello briefly but not played in the cello, like another open string pitch played by a different performer, and that quickly evolves into something else. And yeah, something I'm noticing about Javier's music is it really doesn't dwell on anything, and he really doesn't repeat any ideas, which sort of works against his tendency to incorporate spectral techniques. It's sort of like he uses spectral techniques, but he doesn't use repetition or time or form the way a spectral composer would. So you really just get the sound, and that's it. And then he moves on to the next sound. And I think that's really apparent in this piece, and it might be worth listening to a few more times just to get the sense of how it progresses. I will move on tomorrow to another Donatoni piece, I believe. So we're just going to keep the train rolling, so to speak, and look at more Pierrot stuff.